Yes.
Call to order, Buhl City Council meeting, Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Mr. Jeffries, please take the roll.
Counselor Hadrava. Here. Counselor Keeley.
Here.
Counselor Loeffler.
Here.
Counselor Towner is absent. Mayor Carter.
Here.
We have a quorum and we may conduct business.
Thank you, sir. All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Mr. Jeffries, do we have any changes to the agenda as presented?
No, we do not.
Thank you, sir. With that, do we have approval or a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir. Have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, with none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Agenda is approved. On to reports from department heads. Mr. Jeffries.
Mayor Carter, thank you. First off, a couple of comments that I will have tonight. One of them kind of interweaves with Public Works. I will be making it on their behalf. And our city engineer is not available at another meeting this evening. I will make a couple of comments on the engineering company's behalf as well. First of all, I'd like to mention about the construction on Damien and Woodbridge, Seville, etc. In case it wasn't noticeable, the month of June did not add any better weather to our situation. So everybody that I know of is behind because of weather events in June. However, the curb and gutter is in up on the new development of Damien 2. Tomorrow, that curb and gutter will be backfilled and the backside grade will start to be shaped. Starting before the end of the week will be what's called blue top staking, which is required for final grade prep for paving. That staking hopefully will be completed by the end of the week, with blue top work starting next week and paving to immediately follow. I anticipate that it may be the week of the week of the 17th to the 24th for the windup of those activities. And I confirmed that schedule as recently as of midday today. The second thing that I would like to speak about is something that we'll be having quite a bit of discussion, coming up in the near future, and that is I'd like to talk about the water tower project and present sort of a preliminary schedule on that, if you pass those over. We had said that we'd bring this to the council here in the summer, and without any action at the time, here's a proposed, well, it's similar to what I've been kind of proposing for the last several months, but here's a preliminary schedule to talk about the water tower project, and for the sake of everybody else, I'll just hit the highlights. The items that have been identified include receiving a structural analysis proposal, receiving an updated preliminary engineering report, reviewing and discussing options at the City Council workshop. That date is August 8th. So the first two items are in July, still looking to get a structural analysis proposal and the prelim engineering report update. From then, we'd always talked about involving the public, so there's potential public input meetings, possibly 3 or so of them. We kind of got those slated for August 12th through September 30th. And then an RFP, request for proposals, would probably be the outcome of all this to be distributed for, if you will, bids, depending upon what the final decision is. Preparing that RFP I've got in for September 16th through October 15th. Like to distribute that RFP probably around October 15th and ask for responses to that by November 1. Evaluate those responses in the month of November, between the 4th and the 28th of November, and maybe award or select a vendor on the 29th of November. The month of December, the month of January would serve as a negotiating period for the project agreement, so that'd be December 2nd through December 31st. And then hopefully we could get that agreement executed by the end of the year, 12/31. Immediately after the new year then, preliminary design would begin with the field work to occur as soon as the weather allows in the spring of 2025. That's kind of pretty solidly what I've had in my mind for a while, so I certainly am welcome to comment, review, whatever, discussion. Otherwise, that'd be our kind of our game plan.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Feel free to contact me in any way you wish to talk about it. Sometimes it's tough for everybody to, but get your input to me, and if there is any, and we'll take it from there. Otherwise, we're moving, the engineering companies are aware of this, and those initial final engineering documents are in process. Hopefully those initial dates can be met so we can continue on that path. Okay?
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay.
Timeline.
The next item is a pleasant one. Would like to announce very happily and proudly that we have been selected for a grant that will allow us to do our comprehensive plan in that. I have no details, I only learned of this on Friday, so I look forward to that. I believe that we can also consider a housing study in that award as well, but I shouldn't pre-speak that because I haven't seen any details yet, but we have been selected and I'm waiting for details on the award in the near future.
This is the Blandon one?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Also then, to talk about some of the weather events that happened recently, there was rain and flood impact everywhere. I think everybody really knows that, right? However, we did have an issue out on Whiteside Road. There had been some culverts on the road that transferred water from the north side to the south side for a long time. They failed. They got washed out from underneath. When we looked at it, the condition of those culverts were beyond what should have stayed, so we made a decision, we pulled them out. We replaced 3 old, smaller 2-foot corrugated culverts with 2 60-inch or 48 to 60-inch culverts. The water flow across the road is, or under the road, is far improved from what it had been. And so that work was done swiftly. The road had to be closed for a day, but it was only a day that the road was closed. It's open, and I'm in the process of trying to recover costs from emergency funding through the county and FEMA. And that probably will take several months at the quickest, but I will stick with it, and my determination and what I've been told so far is that there's certainly eligible costs, so we'll go to the table and argue our case for that. Okay? The next quick comment has to be do with the Buhl business block. The preliminary engineering estimates for the costs of the infrastructure, the extension of the water main, the installation of sewer, and the construction of perimeter roads and or mid-property road. I'm hoping to get that by July 25th so that by the next meeting we can maybe start to talk about how fast and where to go with that. Again, those hopefully those costs have already been pre-aligned with some earlier received funding that we have just been waiting to leverage, and now we're in the position to do that. So July 25th for that. And finally, I've been contacted by St. Louis County Transportation to go back to the table to talk about a potential county road on the east side of town that would be started to be drawn into their plans in 2026. And that's what I have for my comments this evening.
Thank you, sir. That county road is a big deal. And keep all that heavy haulage out of our town. All right, moving on to citizens forum. Anybody wish to speak?
Yes, we have Sherry Swanson who has asked to address the council this evening.
Excellent. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Oh, all right. I came to City Hall about a month ago with the Freedom of Information Act and got a copy of the city's agreement with the water company. Are you familiar with that agreement? With the
I
Buhl
believe,
Water Company?
yeah, a little bit.
Well, the last addendum was a 20-year one and it expired this past April. So that one is due for renegotiation. And with that, I just would like to give you a little background, things you might want to consider when you're negotiating with them. One thing is, it's a 20-year addendum, so we haven't touched this or looked at it for 20 years. So you may want to make it a briefer agreement so that more councils are familiar with it. And there's exclusion in there for selling Buhl water, which made us turn away a microbrewery when they wanted to start up in Buhl. So you may want to take that out. They can sell the water, but it's not their right exclusively. And Kim Drain, I don't know if the water company or the owner bought the old shortstop. And we had an agreement with Troutwine when he built his new facility that if he didn't sell it within a year, he'd tear it down. Well, he said in a year that he had sold it to them. So I think that that might be something you might want to talk to the water company about. And then with the water tower, do they have any liability since they're selling our municipal water? It's just stuff to consider. That's all I'm bringing to you. And then the other thing is we have a lease with Ziegler for a part of the road out at the industrial park. And that falls under BETA. But I think that the council should get copies of that agreement as well. And we should start looking at that now so we can start thinking about negotiations and what we may want to do in the future with that. And then the last thing is the election. I worked as an election judge at the last one, the PNP this spring. And one of the laws for elections is that any ballots that go to your nursing home, assisted living, have two people go with different party affiliations, so that you have your checks and balances. That didn't happen here in Buhl. So I just asked that you make sure it does in the next two elections. It didn't happen here. So,
Tony, when you went up to the nursing home, who went?
Dean Johnson and myself as different party
You
judges.
can't do it. You can't do it.
Must be too late.
It has to be election judges, it cannot be a clerk or an administrator. So it has to be two of your election clerks. It can't even be Diana. It can't be a city employee. You can go up and watch and oversee it, but you have to have two judges, one from each affiliated party. And you don't count as that affiliated party. So what she's saying is true, so when we do this next election, we do have to have two different people, not city staff. And not you,
Okay.
and not Diana. So, I mean, because I'm in the same situation, that's why I know this. I can't go to the nursing home in Chisholm. I am an election judge, but I can't do that kind of stuff because I work for the city.
I had asked prior to that, I'm sure I didn't keep any notes or anything, but I did make that inquiry to the county and was under the impression otherwise, but we will do it the other way.
Yeah, we have to do it the other way.
yeah, I had
Thank you
volunteered to
for-
go to represent the other side, but I wasn't asked to go the day of, so I asked him the next day and found out the two of them had gone. So I just want to make
You
sure that
can
things
go,
are done
but you
properly.
just can't be that party.
It's just something,
Yeah,
I
it
think
would-
every town needs to look at that and make sure it's done
It's taught in
properly.
it's actually in the training.
Right.
And I do know
Right.
that it was brought up
Yes.
in the training this year in
Yes.
one of the classes, so.
Yep.
But it is, I mean, we're very well versed over there of what we can and can't do, so.
Right.
And that
And
is.
that's it. That's all I wanted to say about all of this, is that to
Yeah, we'll get
oversee
it.
that and make sure it's done.
I'll get it, I mean, he's.
I assume
he's-
that correction will be made.
Yeah, it will. It's-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Thank you, Sherry.
And thank you all for serving on council. It's not an easy job. No one's ever gonna agree with you 100% of the time, but what you're doing is good and appreciated, trust me.
Thank you.
I hear a lot of good things about you guys.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffries,
Yes.
to what she spoke on, can we take a brief look at that contract for the water company? Because I did review it with Diana a while back, just to check the dates on it. Because have you put eyes on it yet?
I have, not recently, but I have.
Okay. Maybe we should take a look at that.
Do you want, I've got my copy here in the addendum, which expired April
April.
of 2004.
Okay, 'cause
Was signed and sort of,
I took a look through that with Diana
Yeah.
a while back.
and the addendums are the ones that give them the exclusivity and make it a 20-year agreement, things that I think
Yeah,
don't really serve the city well.
we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else wish to speak?
Check on Gary.
No one else has been signed up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jeffries. Moving on to the consent agenda, the minutes from the regular city council meeting, June 11th, 2024, along with claims, payroll number 12 in the amount of $16,851.65, payroll number 13 in the amount of $17,364.87, payroll number 6 in the amount of $2,350, accounts payable number 1 for the amount of $65,167.11, accounts payable number 2 in the amount of $35,613.74, and accounts payable 3 in the amount of $1,102.48, for a total of $138,449.85. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? All right, with nothing further, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you, everybody. On to business, item A. Resolution 24-19 for the city to accept a donation from Ziegler Companies for Independence Day advertising and activities. Ziegler has offered a donation of $200 to the city as financial contribution to help offset costs related to City of Buhl Independence Day advertising and activities/events. Well, how wonderful of Ziegler. We have a motion to authorize the city to accept a donation from Ziegler Companies, DBA Ziegler Inc., to the city as a financial contribution to help offset costs related to City of Buhl Independence Day advertising and activities/events in the amount of $200, to execute Resolution 24-19 concerning the same, and to acknowledge this donation with appreciation.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Council have anything to add?
Thank you, Ziegler.
Yes, thank you, Ziegler.
We like your products.
Love your products. Alright, anything further? With nothing more, those in favor?
Nope.
Resolution, Mr. Jeffries, please
Yeah.
take the roll.
Counselor Hadrava,
Yes.
Counselor Keeley,
Yes.
Counselor Loeffler,
Yes.
Mayor Carter.
Yes,
Motion carries and so prevails.
thank you, sir. You were waiting to catch me on that, weren't you? Alright, on to item B. Consider approving renewing Minnesota Rural Water Association membership subscription for 2024 to 2025. The Minnesota Rural Water Association exists to provide the latest information, education, and technical assistance to protect our public waters and improve the quality of life in Minnesota. Buhl has been a member for quite some time and receives substantial benefit and value out of its membership. Of particular note is the assistance provided by the Rural Water Association for the development, implementation, and ongoing maintenance of Buhl's wellhead protection plan. In 2024, the MWRA is also being instrumental in assisting the city conduct smoke testing as a portion of its I&I studies regarding the performance of the city's municipal wastewater collection system. Additional, the MRWA offers continuing education and technical assistance programs for water professionals, which include Buhl's public works personnel. Furthermore, the MRWA has been a valuable partner in assisting with identifying and seeking potential grant opportunities for eligible water-related initiatives. Obviously, a recommendation is to renew the membership. Do we have a motion to authorize the city to renew its associate membership in the Minnesota Rural Water Association for August 24 through July 25 in the amount of $400?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Have a second?
I will.
Thank you. Obviously, benefits for what the city spends on it.
Are they gonna help us with our smoke testing, Tony?
They are, Councilor Hadrava, that was initially scheduled for mid-June.
Yeah.
Primarily because of the exorbitant amount of moisture.
Right.
We put it off till at least August to hopefully let the ground dry out, because the moisture acts as kind of a
seal.
seal,
Right.
which we don't want.
Right. Okay.
Excellent. Anything further, council? No, nothing more. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. On to item C. Consider approving renewing Iron Range Economic Alliance membership subscription for 2024. The Iron Range Economic Alliance, IREA, exists to create a collaborative environment for economic prosperity in northeast Minnesota by providing leadership, fostering partnerships, and employing professional economic development strategies. Buhl has been a member of the IREA for some time and receives benefit and value out of its membership. IREA partners closely with the Minnesota Department of Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation. They meet quarterly and strives to focus on identifying economic and development trends and initiatives in the taconite tax relief area. The organization plays a notable role in identifying and devising strategies for economic growth and development throughout the region. Membership fee is in the amount of $75. We have a motion to authorize the city to renew its membership in the Iron Range Economic Alliance for 2024 in the amount of $75.
I'll motion.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Anything to add to that, council?
Did we utilize them last year for anything?
Counselor Loeffler, I've been on their board for, I think, 6 years, and so, yes, we did, and we do.
Anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Item D. Consider approving League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust liability coverage waiver form. City receives insurance coverage, including liability coverage from the League of Minnesota Cities Trust. Members who obtain liability coverage from the LMCIT must decide whether to waive the statutory tort liability limits to the extent of the coverage purchased. The decision to waive or not to waive the statutory tort limits must be made annually by the member's governing body, which is our council. If the member does not waive the statutory tort limits, an individual claimant could recover no more than $500,000 on any claim to which the statutory tort limit applies. The total all claimants could recover for a single occurrence to which the statutory tort limits apply would be limited to $1,500,000. If the member waives the statutory tort limits, a single claimant could not recover up to $2 million for a single occurrence or an amount up to the limit of the coverage purchased. It is in the best interest of the city not to waive the statutory tort limits. Mr. Carney, do you agree?
Yes, that's been the practice as long as I've been here at Buhl and prior to that. And
Okay.
I don't recall any suit against Buhl that really even comes anywhere near that amount, so I don't see a problem in not waiving it.
Excellent. Do we have a motion that the city of Buhl not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability for LMCIT liability coverage for 2024 to 2025 as established by Minnesota Statute 466.04?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, anything further? Or discussion, sorry. Council it. No? Alright. With nothing further, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item E, approve hiring of summer help. Excellent. The city has previously publicly posted and published advertisements for 2024 City of Buhl Public Beach at Stubler Pit attendance. Posting and eligibility for these positions will remain open until sufficient personnel are sourced to cover the needs of the city. One additional application has been received to date for beach attendant, and this applicant has fulfilled pre-employment paperwork requirements. This applicant has previously been employed by the city as summer help, most recently in 2023. Excellent. We have a motion to approve the hiring of Jaden Loeffler as a 2024 beach attendant contingent upon the successful completion of all employment and pre-employment requirements.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Well, thank you to Jaden.
I have to abstain from the,
Yep, I saw that.
Alright. Council, anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried.
can I abstain?
Okay. Thank you again to Jaden. Moving on to item F, consider Buhl Knights of Columbus Council 5612 request to conduct bingo events on 11/23/2024 and 4/12/2025. The Buhl Knights of Columbus Council 5612 is applying for an exempt permit with the state of Minnesota to conduct bingo events on 11/23 and 4/12 at the Buhl Kinney Senior Center. These bingo events will be aligned with Thanksgiving and Easter respectively, and have been commonly known as turkey bingo or ham bingo. Wonderful. Because the Knights of Columbus is a nonprofit organization, it conducts lawful gambling on 5 or fewer days and awards less than $50,000 in prizes during a calendar year, these events are eligible to be administered under an exempt permit. City approval is required. For the application, the Knights of Columbus has offered these events in the city for a number of years. This request is a continuation of established past practices, and it's a wonderful pastime to go to turkey bingo. Alright, do we have a motion to approve the request of the Buhl Knights of Columbus Council 5612 to conduct exempt bingo events at the Buhl Kinney Senior Center on 11/23/24 and 4/12/25, and to acknowledge that application as approved with no waiting period?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Turkey bingo. I never win though. I don't know. It's fun.
Is it common that we vote for something for next year, this year?
The only reason, Councillor Keeley, that's on there is that they put both dates on their application.
Is this what we usually do? It just seems weird that we're gonna approve something for next year with a whole possible new council next year.
Understandable, if you,
I mean, it's still gonna probably go through, but it just kinda seems different that I mean, I'm all for this, but are we okay to do next year, this year?
That's a good point.
I understand your point, and again, the only reason is that they're both dates
Yeah.
are
On
on
the
the one
application,
application.
And it'd be, if they re-upped it again in July, it'd actually technically be a calendar year. If they re-upped it again, same, in July again next year. I guess.
So their calendar years are July to.
Well, then what I'm saying is it would be, if they did that, I can't remember when we did it last time. So I remember,
Yeah,
okay,
I
I
mean,
know
it's
we do
probably
it
not a big
every
deal,
year.
but it just
Right.
kinda jumped in my head there, and it's
No,
next
council
year.
council can act on it. If it wants to.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be
Yeah, it's
any.
turkey. No, I just, when you talk about, doing things for next year, it just
Right.
kinda, it's just a question.
Oh, we could make a note of
I
it.
love turkey bingo, believe me.
Well, when they, it's just they haven't approached the council, I suppose, till now. I guess they did it before January or February, it would have made more sense, but
I guess I could definitely, if it was a turkey bingo.
Yeah, it just seemed when we threw next year in already,
Yeah.
it just kinda, it had to be asked, so,
okay.
Council wish to proceed to vote?
yes.
Well, may I add one thing? I'll just mention, Councilor Hudrava kind of reminded me of it. It's a prereq of the Minnesota Lawful Gambling Board application that the local unit of government acknowledge and/or approve, if you will, but acknowledge the application. So there is no obligation of the organization to appear before council. All they're doing what they have to do. They're applying
Right.
Yep.
to the Lawful Gambling Board. But we have to acknowledge, and again, it's just because both the dates are on the one application.
Okay. To vote? All right. Anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Good catch. I like
I
that.
had to just ask.
No, I like that. That's definitely. All right, moving on to item G. Consider approval of an authorization to apply for a cultural expression grant from Minnesota State Arts Board. Mr. Jeffries, would you like to take this one?
Mayor Carter, thank you. The Minnesota State Arts Board has currently made available application materials for their Cultural Expression Grant Program. This pilot program supports activities that share, explore, pass on, express, or celebrate culture through the arts. Culture may be defined by a common ethnicity, tribal affiliation, geographic or regional identity, occupation, language, or recreation. Traditional and contemporary forms of cultural expression may be funded in this program. Funds could be used to support practicing a cultural art form, presenting cultural festivals, community celebrations, performances, media, or exhibitions, offering demonstrations, etc. Funds could also be used to deepen or pass on cultural traditions through apprenticeships or documentation. Staff has considered that the Recreation Board may be able to focus on community celebrations, and offering demonstrations could be provided through the city's current Department of Public Transformation / Youth Center initiatives. So we recommend to authorize the administrator to work with the Recreation Board to determine applicability and eligibility for this program, and to submit a full application for a cultural expression grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board if determined to be eligible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, do we have a motion to authorize the administrator to submit a full application for a cultural expression grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, if determined to be eligible, and to accept and expend said funds for these eligible and specific purposes if awarded?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Council?
I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
That's a good deal.
absolutely.
This almost goes hand in hand with what you're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, and this grant, the grant that we have right now ends in 2025, so this would, probably be like an extension if we were to.
Excellent. All right. Well, after this vote, we will or will not. Anything further, council? Nothing more? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Excellent. Motion carried. Mr. Jeffries, you I've kind of passed the discussion point, but,
Go ahead.
are you familiar with Minnesota State Arts Board?
I am.
Okay.
We do have, since you asked me, we do have, deadline is Friday, so we'll do our best between now and then. It's not a lot of time.
Yeah, gotcha. As is usually the case.
Just came up.
I've seen a lot of it now, and that's a lot, there's a lot of last minute and chasing grants around.
Yeah.
Seems to be the thing. Excellent. We have good staff on it. Moving on, item H. Consider commencing legal compliance actions regarding property located at the intersection of Forest Street and Culver Avenue. Donley Pulford is the title holder of 2 parcels of land located at the northeast corner of Forest and Culver Avenue, formerly housing a large commercial structure which collapsed and is non-repairable. Demolition of the structure and removal of the building materials and its contents is the only plausible remedy to this situation. City staff has explored and pursued a number of avenues of potential remediation for some time now without any progress. Mr. Pulford has on several occasions acknowledged he is aware and understands the issue, and also indicated his intention to remedy this by June 20th, 2024. Despite these assurances, these properties have failed to be remediated to an acceptable condition, and little progress has been observed in 2024 to date. It has unfortunately and regrettably now become apparent that additional remedies available to the city need to be accessed to further effectuate alleviating these conditions. It appears that the most effective approach at this time would be to direct the city attorney to commence formal compliance action in order to immediately remedy these properties into a safe and presentable condition. In the name of public safety, in my opinion. Do we have a motion to direct the city attorney to commence legal compliance actions regarding remediating the property owned by Don Lee Pulford located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Forest Street and Culver Avenue?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Alright,
Just
thank you.
for-
Discussion. This has been an ongoing thing for a long time. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's made their complaint about it. And obviously it isn't being resolved on its own. He's a member of our community, the same as everybody in the room and in our community, but something needs to be done with that. And like I said, even in the name of public safety, I mean, that's gonna become, already has become an issue. Not to mention the eyesore that it is.
You must have seen the IRRB paper that came out to all of us. It's for grants opportunity. And yes, the building is already down, but it said notice of grant opportunities, and this kind of falls where, and I was thinking of our car wash also, and I was thinking of Donley's property. Commercial redevelopment grants assist with the full and selective demolition of commercial and industrial buildings and the cleanup of a brownfields to pave the way for new development. Is that maybe something that falls in this category? I mean, the building's already down, but there's a garage still next door that could maybe, I mean, I don't know if that's his, does that maybe qualify? I mean, it probably would for the car wash if this gentleman would ever want to tear that down. But it does say to remove and pave the way for new development, which is what Donley wanted, I believe, to do. Is it a possibility in this grant that we could write for him or get for him, or?
Councillor Keeley, first, I believe that grant window just opened on July 1.
It did.
Okay, but then I will also mention that, looked at this last year, and my understanding is that the eligibility is somewhat conditional, if not entirely conditional, on reestablishing the commercial use. And I know of no plans to do so, other than maybe see what we can do type thing. Anyway, so last year, that was one of the angles that was originally considered. And I won't go into, you know, what happened last year, but we didn't move in that direction. I'd be happy to look into that, should you wish. I do have a meeting with our grant folks in the next 3 weeks. I could, you know,
I mean, all it is ask. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, he needs help with this.
Mhm.
I mean, and again, we keep letting it go, we can't, I get that.
Mhm.
But when you see this stuff, I mean, but if he said, no, if he couldn't get it last year, how could he get it this year?
oh, we did not get that far down the road. I
Okay.
mean, initially, the thought there was he had a business in Chisholm that was, he was going to be moving. So the consideration was, well, move on to this property here. And, you know, that would have been the commercial redevelopment piece on the dilapidated property. But when the arrangement was made to house him out at Whiteside Park, then there was no, you know, real plan to put another garage, repair garage, on the corner of Culver and Forest. And I've heard of no plans moving forward for that. So, but absolutely, I'd be happy to talk about it at my meeting with the IRRR staffers in the next 3 weeks.
I mean, it's worth talking about, but I do believe that this is written for a reason. I mean, people are done looking at this property, and I think something, I agree, has to move forward. But if there's help out there for him, and I know we can't keep letting this go.
Since we have our attorney here, Mr. Carney,
Well, I mean-
what will the process consist of
Well,
from here
there's different,
forward?
there's either civil or criminal, and if he's willing to cooperate with the city, well, that goes a long way, then it's just finding some resources to get all the debris off the property. I mean, it's always the cost factor. I mean, that's what the city would have to look at with Mr. Jeffries. You know, can something be done? And otherwise, you can go this criminal route that constitutes blight, and through the criminal system, that's cheaper to a certain extent. But I'd rather have the city spend the money rather than on me putting it towards cleanup costs. I mean, and then the other way would be this hazardous area, civil, where again, you get a court order to clean it up. The city pays to get it cleaned up, and then they put a lien on the property. So usually first we try the criminal route, and I've worked with Mr. Pulford before, and we reached a resolution. We want compliance in the criminal court. If we get compliance, I usually dismiss the charge. But
Okay,
it's gotta move off of square one.
yep, and this does that. Thank you, sir. All right, council, anything further? You know, back in the day, the city's got a loader, we could have took care of all of it.
Well, I know, I mean, and then that sets a precedent. I mean,
Yeah,
But I
oh,
mean,
that's the thing.
I've told all the cities, it's not the only town, it was Aurora, Cook, Town of White. I just had a jury trial with Evelyn on blight. I mean, you know, not something I really like to do, but that's the pressing thing in the summertime, and it's not getting better, it's getting like a cancer.
It is.
And once one starts, hey, they can leave theirs, and, you know, it starts to spread, and you don't wanna see that in your community.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things work out.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's not fair for the other neighbors to look at that, and
No.
it just, it's time.
All right, anything further, council? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, sir.
The vote has happened. Regardless of that, would you still like me to entertain this at my meeting with the IRRR?
Gathering information on it.
I think,
Yeah.
Please.
yeah, I think if you would. just-
Yes, very good.
Alright, thank you, everybody. On to item I. Consider appointing various individuals as 2024 election judges. The city continues to assemble a panel of community members to serve as election judges for the 2024 election cycle. To date, several individuals have indicated a willingness to serve. More are anticipated in the future. Individuals not previously identified for these roles at present include Jeff Jarrett. It should be noted that Mr. Jarrett also has indicated a willingness to serve as a head election judge. Excellent. We have a motion to appoint Jeff Jarrett as an election judge for the city of Buhl for the 2024 election cycle, and to additionally appoint Jeff Jarrett as a head election judge.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, discussion.
Do we not already have a head election judge?
I was just gonna-
We do. Some of the reality of issues that have come up throughout the course of everything, on election day, one individual can't be there from 7 AM to 8 PM. So we split in shifts, we need a minimum of 2. And also the healthcare matter that was discussed earlier is aided by another party line head judge.
Wait, say that again. I mean, are you talking about the nursing home?
Yeah,
The head judge doesn't have to be one of those people.
okay.
It doesn't have to be one of those. It just has to be one individual of each party. Okay?
Okay.
And it can't be,
We still have the split shift on election day to deal with.
that I get, but when you kind of threw me off there with
Okay.
that extra sentence.
Sorry.
I haven't done any of the training for election, anything, so
Yeah, there was
I'm kinda leaning
more
on.
today, so, there was more additional training today too, that we found out more things, so, so it was, there's a lot to it.
Lots
They
to
keep
retain,
changing things,
yes.
but, we're getting it.
So this would make 2 head judges, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's within the legalities, right? There's not gonna be an issue with that. And this is just because to be able to have somebody there the whole time.
My understanding is you need somebody there the whole time, and there's no limit on the number of head judges you
Okay.
can have.
That's all I wanted to know.
Are you sure?
Not that I've ever run across.
That's what, I thought you only needed one head
Yeah, you only need.
all day. They usually are there, because they're the ones that are, no,
Our other head judge is not available all day on election day.
okay,
And that's why this motion is in front of council.
all right.
Anything further? Alright, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you to Mr. Jeff Jarrett for serving his community and our country. On to item J. Consider naming certain individuals as 2024 absentee ballot board members. The city established its ballot board for the 2024 election cycle on February 6th, 2024. Minnesota statutes 203B.121 subdivision 2 establishes duties of the ballot board, which include administration of absentee ballots received prior to the election date. All individuals appointed as election judges are eligible to serve on the ballot board. Election judges appointed to date include Kathleen Anderson, Anthony Jeffries, Jeff Jarrett, Dean Johnson, Cheryl Keevy, Sharon Marks, Donna Pospek, Judith Ray, Ann Simonson, Steph Spicer, Melody Staffaroni, and Diana Thronson. Our recommendation is to name Jeff Jarrett and Dean Johnson as members of the ballot board for the 2024 election cycle. Do we have a motion to name Jeff Jarrett and Dean Johnson as members of the ballot board for the city of Buhl for 2024 election cycle?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna step in here again. All individuals appointed as election judges are eligible to serve on the ballot board.
Yes.
Anybody that works in City Hall cannot serve on the ballot board. We can't do ballots.
That's not something I was aware of.
That, you cannot do that. So you can't, and neither can Diana. So that is gotta be changed. And then you're recommending only 2 people to be on the ballot board. Okay, so say when it gets down to the 3 days, when the ballots come in and you have 3 days, and Jeff and Dean, one of them can't make it, and you have to have them here because it's the 3rd day of the ballot. I don't understand why we're not making all of these people eligible for ballot board judges. You call them in and they all can be the ballot board. They all can come in and look at those ballots and count them, just like, I don't understand why we're doing just 2.
Does that have to be a representation from each political party?
Yeah.
Equally?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, if like today is the 5th day of our ballot, so tomorrow we're having a ballot board, or Friday we're having a ballot board. If we only had 2 individuals and one of them couldn't come in, you have to have that ballot board, and neither one of any of us in the office can be on that ballot board. So, I mean, I don't know how they've done it in the past here, but I'm not in favor of just having 2 people on the ballot board. I'd rather see all the people on the ballot board in case of an incident where you have the people have to come in and open the ballot or count the ballots, check it out. If one's not available, you actually have someone else to go to. So why we're picking just 2 people and not all of our judges is my question. And the other thing too, the wording on here, all election judges are eligible, and you named yourself as an election judge, and so you have Diana on there, but neither one of you can be a ballot, on the ballot board.
To respond to your questions, I'll do the second one first. Once again, I don't know if that's new information you received or not, but that's not information I was aware of. And when this discussion happened back at the PNP, the indication was that yes, in fact, Diana and I could both be ballot board. That's what was indicated to us then.
We specifically, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Then for the first part, Dean and Jeff have indicated a willingness to be the ballot board. We've kind of got them sort of set up for a weekly schedule to come in and do it. Out of respect and for the other judges at this point, did not want to presume that other judges may wish to be on that board. And this is because Jeff and Dean indicated their willingness to do so. And because the ballot is open now, felt it was a good idea to put this on in action tonight rather than wait. So you could definitely amend the motion to whatever you'd like it to say, but that's kind of the reason it's here, why those individuals are
When
on
you
there.
when you say that they had mentioned that they wanted to be, like, is there like a certain like sheet where they fill out and then they're like, because I've never done this either, so I don't know, like, is it on like an application where it's like, do you want to be part of the ballot board, and then you check it, or they just
Ask.
they just said it?
They
Locally.
just said it to Diana at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any checkbox on an application that says I'm willing to be on the ballot board.
You know, and I'm just gonna say this because we used to be the ballot board. And we were told we cannot be the ballot board because we work in City Hall as clerks. Not as a city clerk, but we work in City Hall, so we cannot be the ballot board. We cannot be that extra person if one of them can't make it. We can't be that person to fill in for the other party. And we've been told, and this is not my first year. This is probably my 3rd election that I could not be on the ballot board. And it was questioned by us because why not? You got 1 ballot, we gotta call 2 people in. And we have to. You can't be it. So here I'm looking at it, and you have yours down, so I can't in a right mind accept this. And then I'm just not, I don't know, have the other judges even been asked if they want to be on the ballot board?
At this point, no.
Okay, so again, I get it, you have a schedule, and I just don't know why we're not opening it up to all of them, just in case. I mean,
Sure.
the guy could fall over tomorrow, or one of, and then you're without an election judge, or, you know, a ballot board judge.
And if that's the desire, amending the motion language is just fine.
That's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
That's fine.
Could I ask a question? We have not had our election judge training yet.
Because it's not-
How can anybody be coming and
Yeah.
doing ballots now? We have not done election judge
Right,
training.
it's not ready yet. The training is not on, it's not
So they
available
can
yet.
still come and do this absentee ballot if people have already.
There should have been some kind of training for it, was there? Did you guys do,
No,
we did
we
a couple
never
of our
had
judges
anything.
for training, for ballot board.
No.
There's all kinds of,
Nothing. Nothing. That's why I'm wondering how people can come in and do this when they haven't been trained on it.
but, yeah, I mean, we have new staff, I mean, partially, you know, and, I mean, and I know that I can't be any different from where I work to here, it can't be,
No. it
so.
isn't.
Well, a simple solution in my mind would be just to approve any of these individuals. If you'd like to leave out,
Save for me and Diana.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mr.
you guys,
Jeffries
you
and
guys
Diana.
can be, they said, okay, this is what was said today, that the clerk can't even touch the ballots anymore. The, you know, like when you start counting ballots at the end of the night, the clerk can't even touch the ballots. Diana is not considered, you know, the clerk. You on the other hand, and then like Stephanie is she can't touch any of the ballots. It's something that came out in today's training.
That's kind of new also.
But I can't, you know, I can go, and technically when I'm at the election itself, I'm basically just I oversee, I can't like really do anything particular, you know, I can't hand out ballots unless I'm filling in for someone to go to the bathroom. But otherwise, all of our job duties technically, because we work in the city, is taken away, and all the other people that you bring in does the work. So this is why I want to be so careful that you're giving yourself a ballot board, being on the, you know, on the ballot board here, and all individuals appointed as election judges are eligible to serve on the ballot board. Again, I believe that's totally 100% incorrect. So, yeah, that's how strong I feel about that one.
oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
We can leave, if council's will is to amend the motion, to, how do we word that?
Well, I think it has to be with the removal of Mr.
Yep.
Jeffries and Diana.
Bronson, yeah.
Motion to name all of the individuals
Except,
as members of the ballot board, exempting Mr. Jeffries and Diana Thronson for the city of Buhl for the 2024 election cycle.
Yeah.
Who made the original motion?
I did.
You make that
Yep,
amendment?
I'd like to amend it, removing Anthony Jeffries and Diana Thronson from the list,
And including
So-
all of the
and
list.
including all of this, yeah.
Can I, okay, just make sure that they can still be election judges. You can still be an election judge, but you can't be on the ballot board.
Well, they're already election judges,
Yeah,
correct?
I believe they are.
But no, this is just for determining ballot board
Ballot
Yeah,
members.
right, okay.
Councilor Hadrava, may I suggest some language?
Go for it.
Motion by Hadrava to name all appointed election judges for the 2024 election cycle with the exception of Anthony Jeffries and Diana Thronson as members of the ballot board.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, then
And then
who's
I support.
support that amendment?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I went to training, so.
That's wonderful to have that knowledge.
So then they'll have to do, yeah.
So here's my question. So I've never went through any of the training for elections at all, so I might sound, yeah. Why is your training and your knowledge, your information different than what Mr. Jeffries is?
I don't know, we go to the same trainings. I mean, we do, I mean, it's, and only because this has gone on, especially the part about the ballot board. That's been 3 elections for me. And this is just basically gonna be our second one, right?
Well,
I
then,
mean,
didn't you say you
Yeah, it
received,
was my first cycle.
So there's also, I mean, some of from our election in March, they've already had the training to be ballot board judges. So
Okay.
their training is carrying over to this one. So, matter of fact, today we were trying to find somebody for Friday, but he wasn't trained yet. in ballot boards, we couldn't bring them in because we haven't trained them, so. But there is some,
Nobody's had the training. Nobody's had ballot board training here.
oh,
So nobody's eligible.
Let me speak on that. My understanding is that in the state and the county election judges training, a part of that is ballot board training. And yes, in fact, everyone that was a judge in the PNP received training for this election cycle. And we do intend on having additional training coming up
Yeah.
now for the primary and
it's
the
just not
general.
ready yet.
Right,
It's not available yet.
right.
Yeah, it's not available online yet, so. Soon.
They just got a way of making a simple thing all kinds of
They-
confusing, don't
They
they?
did, but you wanna make sure you do things right.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. That is what makes this country what it is that day right there where you cast your vote and you write history.
Because again, it would be so simple if you had one ballot to come in to have Mr. Jeffries and Diana do that ballot board. It would make so much sense. They won't let us.
And I believe that may have been the way it had been done previously.
It used to,
That is the way that I
It was the way it
was
was done.
told
It
yes.
was done that way along, we were the ballot board judge. We opened them, we counted them. And I wanna say it's for sure the last two, we have not been able to. We cannot touch it. Actually,
Want
my.
to check on that?
I'm-
Excellent.
In the
Thank you.
meantime, we're covered.
All
with this
right.
motion.
So we have a motion and a second that covers our ballot board.
Yep.
Any individuals willing to? And again, thank you to all these individuals serving your community, helping with the one part, or one of the many parts that make this country amazing. Thank you, everybody. So we have a motion and a second. Anything further? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried. On to item K. Consider Billy's street closing request for July 20th, 2024. Billy's has scheduled their third annual car show on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. The event will be held on State Street on the 100 block in front of Billy's. Billy's has requested to have that block of State Street closed from 12 p.m. to about 6 p.m. The use of barricades has also been requested. It is in the best interest of the city to demonstrate goodwill and partnership with its residents and business community and to support economic development events in the city. And car shows are wonderful. Do we have a motion that the city grant the request of Carla and Billy's to close the 100 block of State Street from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on July 20th and assist with traffic control by allowing the use of barricades?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Anything further?
Are we gonna need extra law enforcement for this?
We're not getting go
Wrong
there.
group of people.
Old guys burning tires?
Oh boy. Riff raff in town.
Polyglass GTs.
Right.
Alright, excellent. Car shows are wonderful.
Yeah.
We need more of that back. Anything further, council? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you to Billy's for having a car show in town. On to item L, notice of League of Minnesota Cities preliminary dues increase for 2025. Of course, the League of Minnesota Cities recently provided its membership information to keep them informed and engaged. With that in mind, LMC provided information to make its members aware of some upcoming changes that will, quote, further shape our collective efforts and continue to drive progress, end quote. Among these is a notice of preliminary maximum dues increase for 2025. At its May 24 meeting, the LMC Board of Directors approved a preliminary maximum dues schedule increase of 6% for a 16-month budget period that runs from September 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025. In 2024, the city's dues to LMC was $1,299. In 2025, this will become a maximum of $1,377. Additionally, in this informational notice, the LMC also 1, proposed fiscal year changes and timing of dues notices, and 2, proposed additional changes to the LMC constitution and bylaws. So this is just a question. Nobody get any, like I have a crazy idea about it. But the League of Minnesota Cities, is like every city in the state involved with them? It seems to be a lot, like a large majority of them.
Mayor Carter, there are several hundred, I don't think it's exclusively 100%.
Okay. It's a great, don't get me wrong, it's a great relationship we have. That's not where I'm going with that. I'm just curious.
If I were to speculate, it would be very, 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 very small cities that may not be participating.
Included in
And
it.
instead, they would be members of the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities or the Minnesota Small Cities Consortium, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, small cities. They don't think they have the same weight to carry at the league. But I wouldn't think many, if any, larger 500 people and up cities are not a member.
Yeah. So it looks like our dues will be going up to $1,377
Maximum.
maximum.
$76 hike.
Which isn't terrible, but that's
No.
how they work things.
Right.
Alright, informational only. Council have anything to add? Questions, comments, concerns? Alright, moving on. Item M, summary of League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference 2024. Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you, Mayor Carter. Well, the League of Minnesota Cities held their annual conference here in Rochester, Minnesota, at the Mayo Civic Center from June 26th to 28th. The theme was building a better city. And I attended that conference, and so did some, I believe, 673 others. Somewhere, it was a pretty large attendance, large city, Rochester, close to the metro, right? So the theme was to build partnerships, more or less, with several items either not happening at last legislative session, like no bonding bill, and no big movement in certain other areas which could have affected city government substantially. They focused on partnership, if you will. So the sessions worked toward creating partnership and consortium with your region, working with your legislative assembly to make sure your matters are known, exploring alternative funding, a lot of effort toward the future, and the future, is kind of not well-shaped yet. I shouldn't say not well-shaped, it's not rigidly shaped yet. It's like green climate change things, and it's rounded policy making that people are still trying to develop and get their hands around. So there's a lot of conversation regarding that. Directly related to what Buhl might do, the lead service line inventory, which we have coming up in October, there's some highlights given for that. We're on track with that. We've got our program in place. We'll be fine with that. Maintaining city trust through infrastructure failure. Well, there was some good conversational sessions about how to handle comment in your community, whether it comes from council, whether it comes from staff, whether it comes from the constituency, whether it comes from all of the above. Just open conversation about what works and what doesn't work when you're trying to especially be transparent and be the leaders of the constituency but at the same time, a council and staff has to have their own position on matters, right? So, moving forward, there will be some more global style consortiums and cohorts coming in the future. And some of those include things like bridging communities together so Minnesota can become like a global leader when the state needs something. Or updating on opioid settlement funds, which thankfully we do not have a lot of issue with here. Or building trust and creating hope to resolve difficult situations. It seems like there's no shortage of difficult situations, and just trying to get communities to be better so that they do the right thing, they go in the right direction, and their community believes that they are doing that. So I would say very, very well presented, well attended. Next year it'll be in Duluth, and if anybody has any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Keynote speakers, were they good?
The first keynote speaker, Amanda Brinkman, was good, and she, more of a TV personality, so polished in the presentation, if you will, right?
Yep.
And it was about common traits of thriving communities. Well, you can kind of guess. It's called transparency, honesty, fiscal and financial literacy, and that was the opening keynote, which is a tough spot to be in my opinion, because people are just getting there, they're settling in, everybody's got a little bit of energy with them, right? Closing speaker, a gentleman named Richard Coffey, who, if anyone, a gentleman who has made Minnesota his home. He was a basketball player for the University of Minnesota. When he came in, he was quite a bit older, 21 or 22 years old. Well, he was older because he spent 4 years in the Army Airborne, which is the paratrooping outfit that is ready at a moment's notice for anything that might come our way. And he lived through somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 to 180 parachute jumps. And then he went to college, and then subsequently he has become a motivational speaker and a state citizen. He lives in Crystal, and his message was basically there are seasons of leadership. There change, attitude, and perseverance. Leaders, no matter what happens, it's transitory. It passes. It's sad when you do something really good that you're feeling really great about, and that passes, right? But when you don't do something so good, or you're criticized, or something fails, that seems to stick with you, right? But it ultimately it passes, right? So it was kind of like, don't get too low on when you don't do so well. Don't get too high when you do good. It all passes. Just remember to keep that in mind, and try to keep your community keep that in mind. That I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but what happened at one time may not have to be what happens forever, type of thing. So I thought Mr. Coffey's address was inspiring for all in attendance.
Excellent. Well, thank you for bringing it back here. Appreciate that. I don't know how you retain all of the information that you do. It's amazing. Thank you, sir. Excellent. Anything further? Moving on to other business. Do we have any other business?
We do not.
Excellent. I'm okay with that. Councilors' comments.
I know, Tony, that you and I kind of talked a little bit about that possible new lighting, down at that club, and I know that you got a picture of one of the garage doors down there. Also on this grant opportunity under the Cultural and Tourism grants, that's where some of that possibly could come from to get those lights. I mean, they've been the original lights in there since that club has been built. the community center. And you will attest that the lighting is terrible for the things you do there. So we might want to pursue this one with the lighting, and I don't know how they can go on with maybe fix that door, but I know like I think it was Two Harbors got new carpeting throughout their club with these grants from IRRB on the last round. So I'm thinking that, you know, why not get lights from them, or else I talked to Commissioner Jugovich, and he said we could maybe go through Minnesota Power too. They like doing that kind of stuff too, so.
And so just to be clear, Counselor Keeley, this would not necessarily be with that cultural expressions grant?
Well, it says grants assist projects that support arts, culture, history, tourism, and recreational activities.
True, but then when you mentioned IRR, they just rolled out, as you mentioned earlier, their grant cycle July 1.
Right.
So there'll
That's
be
what
a
I
number of
mean.
other
Yeah.
opportunities
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Plus also there's one I don't think we've talked about before, that actually IRR is administering now. It's called the Business Energy Retrofit Program.
Okay.
And it allows for improvements and energy upgrades, and it'll cover up to a third of the cost for eligible projects. And I think that we could create the eligible case for the community center.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of other groups that use that, and it's like, I know when she was down there, they could hardly see putting their things together, and it's old.
Yeah.
It's time to upgrade down there, so, I mean, you have these opportunities come open, we should jump on them. And then, I'm just gonna touch base on the blight a little bit again. As you can see, the June 24th police report, there's not one blight ticket issued in Buhl. I do know, I'll be going to a meeting, part of a meeting tomorrow night, because I just really want to hear what this attorney has to say on an update on the blight issue. And unfortunately we have the Chisholm Cops here that do our blight, and they had their CSOs come in for the summertime. There has been, it's been a slow start according to Vern, and we all can see that. They've had some personal issues, and he's possibly scrapping that program for the rest of this year, possibly. But that's where the Chisholm Cops will be picking up where they left off. So after they move into their building, which is right now, they're gonna be picking up on the blight issue. So they didn't do very much in June, but hopefully we're gonna see some updates coming in July here in August,
Well,
so.
hopefully we have negotiations with that contract
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, but they, you know, I mean, we use the Chisholm Police for ours, and so they do our, and the CSOs were over here last year. They're summer helpers, and, but I don't know if it's gonna continue or not, but that'll be decided soon, so. And I think that was all. Oh, the commercial vehicle lease. How long does something like that take to go into motion? You know, like we were gonna find a spot for them, because I noticed that during the holiday weekend, there was a big semi parked on Residential Road. And,
Well, we did put that in motion and set it for the area east of town, and then Paul Bunyan came in and took that over here temporarily.
Oh,
so-
that orange truck has been parking out there still.
Okay. So, actually, frankly, well, Paul Bunyan's been here, haven't been too aggressive on that yet.
okay.
And I believe they said they'd be done by the end of July. So
Paul
that-
Bunyan will?
Yeah.
So we're still allowing, and I mean, they're not supposed to be parking on the streets. Do the police not ticket them?
I can't speak for the law enforcement, but I haven't heard ticketing occurring.
Okay.
Give them a heads up.
Can absolutely do that.
That's all I have.
I just want to say that the 4th of July, the parade that the rec board did was very well. Like, it was amazing. I always am like shocked that Buhl has such a wonderful parade. I mean, I remember because I was part of the rec board years ago. I mean, and it was just like little kids and bikes, and that was pretty much it. Where now, like, it's just like a huge parade. It's just like amazing, and then just so many people from around the communities come to it, and so they did a fantastic job. Very well organized.
I saw kids with like grocery bags half full of candy walking away from that
Yes,
thing. It was
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, yes.
That was amazing.
It was awesome.
20 years ago, you should have seen the parades.
Yep.
Marching bands, no.
Oh, really?
That's what we need some of that
Oh,
back
wow.
too.
That's fantastic.
Right.
That'd be nice.
Those were the days.
Well, we can do it again.
Yes.
Yes. Rec board.
July 16th, from 5:30 to 7:30, there's going to be a barbecue, and like just bring your own games. There's going to be games provided, but it's going to be for the whole city, and it's, you know, free food. It'll just be a good time. Families, bring yourself, anything. And I also know that night there's also, so it's 5:30 to 7:30, but then there's also at the library, that's the same night that they have the Northern Lights concert, which I went to last year and it was fantastic.
That's the 16th.
Yeah, July 16th. So,
That's a Tuesday?
yes,
Okay, where is it?
it's going to be at Burn Park. The barbecue, and then the Northern Lights is at the library. So, like, come eat food, go to the concert at the Northern Lights or at the library for the things. So, and then August 4th, we're going to be doing porch signs. I don't know exactly where yet, but
Keep us posted.
I will.
Excellent. Awesome.
That's all I have.
That's all. Thank you. Looks like you're up.
Nothing really, I guess.
No wise words from the job site.
No sage like wisdom from the job site.
All right. As always, get out and explore the outdoors. Go play. We have some beautiful weather. We also, I don't know if I'm weird for getting excited about this, but Monday, July 22nd at 3:30 at the Buhl Public Library, there's a gal called Jackie Fallon will be there with peregrine falcons and other raptors.
Oh,
Cool.
It's a 45-minute, forgive me for not having it in my head here, free program, 45 minutes long, family friendly for ages 8 to adult.
You can put that up on the Buhl page.
We should, yeah. My wife pointed it out because I've talked about falconry a lot, and raptors are amazing creatures. We'll have some at our Buhl Public Library, so if you're available Monday, July 22nd, 3:30 p.m., stop by. I'm excited for that. Kind of a geek for those kind of birds. They're amazing.
the other time I saw that was at the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, they used to have, they'd go to school, from school to school, and do stuff like that in
Really?
our gymnasium and stuff, yeah.
They're really impressive animals, and people who work with the birds, a lot of research I've done so far on it is like red-tailed hawks. As a falconer, that's the first bird you can capture, and by you going into the wild capturing that young bird, you actually increase its survival rate. The survival rate for those animals in the wild is very little. So those people who work with these animals, they actually, it's helping them. And I'm sure this event will have a lot more information on it than I could ever give, but exciting. I like that. That's all I have. Get outside, enjoy the weather while you can.
Can I
Snow's
ask one
coming.
more question? You know, on the storm, the big storm, how did we hold up? City-wise, I mean,
Pretty well, pretty well. There's City Hall roof held up extremely well in my opinion, but we're still gonna take a peek. Library had a little bit of damage, but not nearly what I thought it may have been or could have been. That'll be looked at soon also. The Senior Citizen Center, it could have shed water off the roof quicker, but the two main drains were a little bit clogged up and they're cleaned out now. There were some isolated manhole blow-offs.
Yeah, going down by the curling club was floating, we went,
Yeah, I saw that.
But all in all, I think we came through shining pretty well.
I had 3.5 inches at my house. I don't know what they're.
I had over 4 at our place.
Yeah.
That's a lot of water.
You're not
We
supposed to
fared
have it.
pretty
My
well.
understanding is the state got, state got
it
over
wasn't like
25
that.
inches in June.
What's that?
The state got over 25 inches of rain in June.
Oh,
And I was out of town one weekend, and where I was 11 inches in 2.5 days. But I was actually very pleased for how well we came through it.
Yeah, at least it wasn't snow. That
well,
would've made for a lot.
and, I mean, no major washouts or anything, I mean, there
Yeah.
was 40-some complete road crossings wiped out.
Right, yeah, the only thing we had was that Whiteside issue, Whiteside Road issue. And to me, clearly, that had been, you know, it got eroded from underneath. It was the sheer volume
Right.
of water unable to be carried from one side to the other.
Right.
Yeah, Buhl fared well. All right, excellent. Council have anything further? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Thank you. Anything further? If nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Right.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned. 7:56.
Don't run away yet.